Hello and welcome back to your own Reviews channel, where we review and break down movies in shorter time frame possible. In this video we will review a comedy romance movie from the year of 2010 named Little Fockers. Let's begin. In the starting scene, we see Greg Focker and his wife Pam are going through their usual hectic morning routine, getting their two kids ready for school. While at work, Greg receives an unexpected visit from Andy Garcia, a former nurse who now works for a company that produces a male enhancement drug called Sustengo. Andy tries to persuade Greg to become the spokesperson for the drug, promising him a higher salary. Greg agrees to think about it and takes Andy's business card. Meanwhile, Jack Burns and his wife, Dina Burns, discuss the infidelity of their former son-in-law, Bob, towards their daughter. Dina plans to visit their daughter, leaving Jack alone. Unexpectedly, Jack experiences a minor heart attack but manages to call 911 and survives. Back at the Focker household, the family is in the middle of dinner when Greg receives a call from Jack, informing him about the heart attack and appointing him as the new head of the family, the Godfocker. Jack also instructs Greg to keep it a secret from his wife and daughter. Upon hanging up, Greg feels a newfound sense of empowerment and asks Pam to arrange a tour of the early human school, a private school they were considering for their children. 2 weeks later, Jack and Dina pay a visit to their friends. As they all gather for dinner, Greg takes charge of carving the turkey. However, a sudden fright from his son's pet lizard startles him, causing him to accidentally cut his finger and splatter blood all over the guests. Just when things couldn't get worse, Kevin arrives heartbroken after being dumped by his girlfriend. Pam kindly offers him a place to stay, but both Kevin and Greg assure her that he's fine sleeping at the shelter where he volunteers. The following day, Pam wakes up feeling sick and asks Jack to accompany Greg on a tour of the early human school. Little do they know, their visit to the school leads to a misunderstanding, as they are mistaken for a homosexual couple. In the meantime, Greg receives an unexpected proposal from Andy to become the spokesperson for Sustengo. He agrees to give a speech about it at a hotel. Greg confides in Pam about the opportunity but asks her not to mention it to her dad. Unfortunately, their daughter overhears their conversation and mistakenly tells Jack that Daddy is meeting up with Andy, the person who gives him his bonus. Jack becomes alarmed, thinking Greg is having an affair with Andy. That night, Jack decides to follow Greg on his way to the hotel. At the metro station, Greg confronts Jack, questioning if he is being followed. Jack quickly comes up with an excuse, claiming he is just going to buy some organic milk, and is forced to get off a few stops before Greg. At the hotel, the presentation goes exceptionally well, and Greg receives congratulations from many attendees. Greg and Andy even pose for photographs together. When Jack returns home after following Greg, he discovers samples of Sustengo in a bag and decides to take one. Later, when Greg arrives home, he finds Jack sitting on the couch, waiting for him. Greg notices that Jack has an unexpected reaction and asks if he took a Sustengo. Jack admits to taking one and reveals that he has had a prolonged boner for over 4 hours. Concerned, Greg insists that Jack must get an adrenaline shot as soon as possible. Jack, however, refuses to go to the emergency room in that state and asks Greg to administer the shot at home. As Greg gives Jack the adrenaline shot, his son unexpectedly walks in and screams at the sight. Jack decides to search for Andy Garcia on the internet and stumbles upon a photo of her and Greg on her website. Instantly, Jack jumps to the conclusion that they must be having an affair. Greg had originally planned to throw a birthday party for the twins in the backyard of his new house. However, due to a mishap caused by his contractor, the party location had to be changed. Kevin comes up with the idea of hosting the party at his own spacious house instead. Greg, Pam, Jack, and Dina take the twins for an evaluation at the early human school. While the girl performs well, the boy struggles. Jack suggests that the girl takes after Pam, while the boy takes after Greg. Unfortunately, the boy falls off a rock wall after seeking permission from Greg, resulting in a broken arm. They rush him to the hospital, where Jack takes the opportunity to advise Pam to divorce Greg and marry Kevin. This leads to a heated argument between Greg and Jack, and as Greg storms off, he informs Dina about Jack's heart attack. Instead of going home, Greg heads to the house he is currently building. Unexpectedly, Andy arrives with Chinese food and drinks. However, things take a turn when Andy becomes intoxicated and forcefully tries to kiss and hug Greg. Despite her advances, Greg resists and asks her to leave. Just as Jack arrives to apologize, he witnesses the embrace between Andy and Greg, solidifying his belief that they are indeed having an affair. In a fit of anger, Andy throws Greg's phone into the pit in the backyard. As Greg tries to retrieve it, Andy impulsively jumps in, causing both of them to lose consciousness. The following day, Kevin is hosting the twins' birthday party at his house. Greg arrives, reuniting the family. He attempts to apologize to Jack for their argument the previous night, but Jack ends up punching Greg, leading to a fight between the two. Amidst the chaos, Greg assures Jack that nothing happened between him and Andy. The scuffle is interrupted when Mr. Jinx, Jack's cat, starts eating Greg's son's lizard. Jack then suffers a heart attack, but Greg comes to his aid until the ambulance arrives. As Jack is being taken away, he tells Greg that he believes him and dubs him the new Greg Fokker. Greg, Pam, Pam's parents, and Greg's parents are all chatting and getting along. However, when Greg's parents mention their plans to move down the block, Pam's parents decide to move as well, causing Greg and Pam to panic. Here the movie ends. Thanks for watching the complete video. Please hit like, share it with your mates and subscribe my channel.